Right now, Texas is on a collision course with a blast of Arctic air. Today, from state government down to the local level, people are getting prepared.
David Paul leads off our team coverage tonight with the timing of this big Arctic blast, David.
Wind chill warning, freeze warning in effect now for central and south Texas. That's all the pink area. And then other temperature related warnings encompass the entire state of Texas. None of these have anything to do with snow or ice. There will be none of that in Texas, just very, very cold air. This also extends all the way up across the central and northern plains, where temperatures drop some 30-40 degrees in just a matter of an hour, setting some records for the fastest temperature drop in spots across Montana and Wyoming this afternoon. These are blizzard warnings across the North and Great Lakes, and then these are all the freeze warnings. And this is very interesting. You rarely see temperatures that are going to drop this quickly, this dramatically across southeast Texas. Here's the forecast for noon tomorrow. We're basking at 60 degrees, but you can see looming toward College Station the leading edge of the Arctic air, which will race across the area in the early afternoon, and by 7 o'clock have almost all inland areas below freezing. Don't underestimate how cold it's going to get and how quick that's going to happen tomorrow afternoon. Plan accordingly, dress accordingly, and we'll go over everything with the wind forecast, the wind chill forecast, and the weekend forecast for Christmas in just a little bit.
You have to take it seriously. Thank you so much, Dave. Tomorrow at 3 p.m., 4 warming centers will open. That include the George R. Brown Convention Center, Moody Community Center, Fondy Community Center, and Acres Home Multi-Service Center. These warming centers will stay open until Saturday at noon.
Other centers and nonprofit organizations are also opening up their doors to help people get out of the cold. Adam Bennett is live at one warming center that opened in North Houston just minutes ago. Adam, how are things going there?
Well, we are still waiting for people to come in, Mia, but things are set up and ready to go. You can see behind me some of the 500 cots, blankets, and pillows that volunteers here at Greenhouse International Church on West Greens Road have put out. Now, we already saw a few people waiting outside even a couple hours before the doors opened here. So the pastor here says there is a lot of need in this community. NACC Disaster Services, they're the nonprofit running this operation. This will stay open until at least noon on Friday, I'm told. But of course, that can be extended if the weather conditions allow for it. This church, again, can hold up to 500 people, but the pastor told me they can expand if they need to.
Well, I received a phone call a couple of days ago, actually it would be a warming site. And without hesitation, I immediately said yes, because the last winter freeze, I had a couple of funerals. One was a couple, senior citizens. They died in winter freeze. So I couldn't say no to open up a warming center.
And the pastor told me if there is a power outage, the church does have backup generators. He also told me that anybody staying here in the warming center will get 3 meals per day. Now, the shelter will be for people only. It's important to note that they do not, unfortunately, have the resources to care for pets. But they tell me they are looking for volunteers, and they say if you want to help out, all you need to do is show up. Ron and Mia.
A lot of people will be volunteering. All right, thank you so much, Adam Bennett. Right now, ERCOT says the state power grid is ready and reliable. This is the first wintertime test of the grid since the deadly freeze of last year.
The Arctic front moves in tomorrow afternoon, and ERCOT expects the demand to peak Friday morning. The Public Utilities Commission says they have more reserves, so they will tap into that before they have to ask people to conserve power. Officials say there could be isolated power outages, but it doesn't mean the grid is down.
We will have high winds that could bring down branches, and even if there are some localized power outages due to falling branches, that does not mean that ERCOT or the state does not have sufficient generation.
Since the 2021 freeze, upgrades have been made to generators, poles, wires, and infrastructure. Right now, more than 200 plants have undergone winter inspections, with more planned through the winter.
Fort Bend County is home to the largest power plant in Texas. It's owned by NRG, and crews are busy preparing for the Arctic blast. Jeremy Rogowski is live with more on the winterizing going on there. Jeremy.
Yeah, around the WA Parish plant here is a workhorse capable of generating electricity to feed nearly 5% of the entire ERCOT grid. And NRG Energy tells me it has spent millions on winter readiness.
I think we're in really good shape.
At NRG's flagship power plant, winter preps kicked into full gear about 10 days ago.
Started going over everything, double checking it twice.
With 4 coal-fired units and another set of gas-fired generators, there are a lot of moving parts.
As you can see, everything's insulated.
Since the historic winter storm, NRG has upgraded insulation and updated heat tracing of critical components. And unlike before, everything is now fully automated.
Well, I can be sitting at home at 2 in the morning on Christmas, and if I want to make sure that the heat trace panels are on, I can check the heat trace panels.
For the record, General Manager Daryl Miller will be here on Christmas, working a 15-hour day.
We're headed down to one of our wind barricades.
Winterization efforts here range from the high-tech down to the simple tube.
If you get a 30 or 40 mile an hour wind, this isn't going anywhere. So we know this is going to be protected.
You'll find plenty of plywood box barriers around, along with portable heaters and wrapping of pipes, just like you would do at home.
If things start to freeze, other bad things will follow.
In this report from ERCOT, 3/4 of parish plant units were producing only limited power during the epic February storm. Heading into this Arctic blast, is that in the back of your mind at all?
What it did is it gave us a lot of lessons learned. We've made a lot of improvements, and we have that list. We talk about it, we document it, and then we use that to improve for the next year.
A big challenge here and elsewhere is the age of power plants. Consider this, parts of this facility were built back when Eisenhower was president. The GM here tells me that's like keeping a 60-year-old Chevy roadworthy. It takes a lot of time, maintenance, and effort to do so. Ron?
Keeping that old Chevy in operation. All right, thank you so much, Jeremy Rogowski.